Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate coming at you to complete and finish the review of what I'll laughingly call the Darkman trilogy, which is really laughable to say because it's basically one really great movie and then two stupid movies that should never really been made. It's probably they made Universal a little bit of money, but it's really rare that, I guess they did the same thing with the Tremors movies franchise as well, but, where you have a really great, first theatrical A movie and then just all these, crappy, sequels, straight-to-video sequels. But at any rate, this is, like showed in the review for Darkman 2, this thing I got in 2007, which features all the movies. So this is a review for Darkman 3. Die, Darkman. Die. Now, I really tortured myself within the last few days trying to watch and get through Darkman 2 and 3, but I did it. I watched Darkman 3 last night. And one of the only cool things about Darkman 3, or probably the only cool thing about Darkman 3, is, of course, it's Arnold Vosloo returns as Darkman. You have this really dumb beginning thing where he explains what happened and whatever. But anyway, before I get too sidetracked, the only cool thing about this movie is Jeff Fahey is slumming it, and he's actually the first billing. Well, it doesn't say it on the back here, but here's the years. So the second one came out in '94, and then in '95 they probably made them back to back, but they didn't release the third one until '95. So Jeff Fahey is actually the top billing. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know where the hell it is, but Jeff Fahey is actually the top billing for Darkman 3. So Jeff Fahey is the baddie, the Durant replacement, if you will. I watched this last night, probably the second time I've seen it. I don't think I saw Darkman 3 back in '95 because I was so disappointed with 2. I'm sure I never saw 3 out. So this is I probably saw it for the first time in '97 when I got this 3-movie collection, and probably for the second time yesterday. And holy Toledo, if you think Darkman 2 is bad, this isn't much worse, but it's worse. I'd say it's worse because Larry Drake isn't there. At least the cool thing about Darkman 2, which I don't know if I even said, I probably did something to the extent of, in the Darkman 2 review, is at least you had, like Larry Drake reprising his role as Durant. Of course, it wasn't very, it didn't save the whole movie by any stretch of imagination, but at least it had that connection to the first movie. This one, by now, of course, I didn't even mention that they killed forever, at the end of Darkman 2, Robert Durant, so that's over with. Yay, vengeance is Darkman's. So, this movie has absolutely no connection to the first movie whatsoever, seeing as how Robert G. Durant is gone. So you have this new criminal, I just watched it last night, I think, but I can't, who's played by Jeff Fahey, but I can't even remember what the hell his deal is, so it's very unmemorable. Luckily this movie is shorter, it's the shortest of all 3 of them. The second one was 1 hour and 33 minutes, this one's 1 hour and 27 with the credits. So I can't even remember. All I know is he has this, this wife and this daughter who he just cheats on the wife, and he barely sees the daughter, and that's all I really remember. Another thing I remember is at the beginning of, after the first action scene of Darkman 2, we see Arnold Vosloo. He's mostly, by the way, I didn't even mention, mostly just wearing an Arnold Vosloo mask. He's barely in the Darkman outfit. So he goes up, but one thing I will give him about the sequels, which I kind of complained about for the first movie, is at least when he goes out at night with his Arnold Vosloo mask, he can probably walk around for a long, all night, as long as he doesn't get blasted by any, too bright of light. But anyway, I'm just all over the place. What I'm trying to say is after the first action scene in Darkman 2, Arnold Vosloo with his Arnold Vosloo mask, or Peyton Westlake with Arnold Vosloo mask, is seen carrying some briefcase or something into the sewer. He opens up, of course, having human strength, the strength of 10 men, he opens up a manhole cover and he lives Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-like under the city. Oh, it should be noted that these 2 sequels were shot in Canada. That's where you shoot if you want to shoot for cheaply, or more cheap than in America, by the way. What I'm getting at is they reuse this exact same footage that they used in part 2 of him, bringing this suitcase you know, going underneath there, traveling on his little train system we saw in the second one. They used the exact same footage of him basically going home after the opening quote-unquote action sequence. So, you know, that's just really lame. It's kind of what they do, and they've done it in other movies and sequels as well, where you just use the same footage over and over. It's just like, oh man. So, I don't even know what the hell I saw this last night. I don't even know what the premise of the movie is. Obviously, Jeff Fahey is a bad guy, and you know, he cheats on his wife. He barely spends time with the daughter. One of the cool points about the movie that trying to make it a little more sentimental or whatever is, you know, basically Peyton Westlake, you know, kind of becomes a little bit of, I don't know, briefly like takes a, because he's pretending to be Jeff Fahey character at one point. He's sneaking into the house, he comes across the daughter, and he's actually able to have a decent daughter-father time with this guy's daughter, and just kind of like whatever, trying to pull at the heartstrings or whatever. But I mean, kind of, it's more successful in that, you know, that aspect of, what is it? I can't think of the word right now. Yeah, that heartstring pulling aspect, they didn't really pull off in the second one so much. So this one has a little more strength in that regard, as, you know, having Peyton Westlake, for other reasons, impersonate this girl's dad, and only to have a positive outcome where he's actually able to spend some quality. And then he ends up going to her daughter's play, and which is kind of like, you know, coming through for both the daughter and wife, but it's not even him, it's Peyton as this bad guy, while Jeff Fahey's screwing this other woman or whatever, kissing her at any rate. But I would, you know, I think I gave, what I give the first one, 3/4 stars out of 4. This one is just even worse, so I'm going to go, this is one half star out of 4 stars. This is just, I mean, no Larry Drake. I mean, you know, Jeff Fahey, if you're a Jeff Fahey fan, it's kind of funny to watch him in this, but I mean, this movie, it recycles stuff they already shot from part 2. It just continues this lame-ass Arnold Vosloo as Darkman thing. It's just, you know, it's just, I mean, I just saw it last night, I can't even remember it. So that kind of says something about Darkman 3, Darkman Die. Like I said for the review of part 2, I mean, you know, Bruce Campbell, you know, made an appearance obviously at the very end of Darkman as one of the many masks Peyton wears. It would have been cool to see Bruce Campbell, like, maybe briefly in 2 and 3, you know, or at least 2, like I mentioned in the review of 2. So I think we'll leave it at that. The Darkman review is way too long, and this review for part 2 is probably way too long, so, you know, in the spirit of trying to keep things short, I'll probably leave it at that. But Darkman 3, it ain't cutting it. At least they ended it there and didn't keep making more and more. Apparently the Tremors sequels probably did better because there's more of those, like direct-to-video sequels. They even made one, came out like last year, I think, or something like that. I think even what's-his-name was in it or whatever. So, anyway, in my opinion, these 2 Darkman sequels were just this horrible, just money grab, just attempt at whatever. I mean, they sure as hell don't hold a candle to, you know, the first one by any stretch of the imagination. It's basically just seems like high school kids trying to recreate the good stuff about the first one is what these 2 sequels seem like to me. So, thank you very much for watching, and catch you next time.